It's kind of funny that I just uploaded a video with Jonny Thomson talking about death with Alex O'Connor, and then I was scrolling and I found this other interview with him where he asserts that death is followed by nothingness.
Au contraire, actually, that death is a good. The fact that
You think death's good?
Well, in Epicureanism, the fact that death is a nothingness, the fact that death is a relief, or death as being the relief, the ultimate relief from life.
Death as in being a positive thing.
The fact that it doesn't continue into some kind of afterlife.
It's very interesting. So he has the view, basically, like many antinatalists, that death is followed by kind of endless nothingness, what can only be called peacefulness, an endless painlessness, endless non-experience. This kind of can only be like a black void, a blankless, perpetually endless blankness of nothing. Not sure how that would work exactly if you don't exist anymore to sustain said nothingness. Because if you don't exist, then that's the same as when you didn't exist before birth, and that wasn't anything. Your lack of existing didn't have the agency to stop this life from being imposed. And what are you? You're just a life. So you didn't exist, but then a life was born. And therefore a life was imposed. It doesn't matter which life was born. If you imagine an empty universe and you don't exist, no one exists, and then a life comes to exist, that's the life that is imposed. That is the I, that is the experience that is imposed after your non-existence. When I say non-existence, I mean your lack of existing. You didn't exist, but yet a life still managed to be imposed. And this is true for every single being that has ever lived and will ever live, and that is alive right now. So it's kind of a science experiment that the universe has been running forever that proves that non-existence, your lack of existing, is utterly incapable of stopping a life, one life or another, from being imposed. Each and every single one of us is that experiment being ran. So why would your lack of existing after death suddenly have the ability to stop a life from being imposed, from doing the imposition once again? It's not being imposed on you. If you completely cease to exist, like I said, you're completely gone. So that's the same scenario once again. If a life comes to exist, if there's no one in the universe, if a life comes to exist, then that's the life that's imposed. Now let's say it's an empty universe and then you come to exist. You are a life. So that is the life that's imposed. So let's go back to the empty universe. A life comes to exist, that's the life that's imposed. Whether it's the life that's watching this or if it's some other life, it doesn't matter. A life is imposed. Just in a generic sense, a life. It doesn't matter what the life is. It could be a kangaroo, it could be an alien, it can be a sentient artificial intelligence, it can be a rabbit, it can be another human. It doesn't matter. If you were never born, your lack of existing wouldn't have had the power to stop some other life from being imposed. I'm not saying that if you weren't born that your lack of existing would have forced your parents to have another kid. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you were never born, then some other life somewhere else on Earth would have been the one imposed. There's no connection or anything. I don't understand how people have difficulty with they they think I'm trying to say something about some kind of connection, or like your lack of existing forces people to come to exist. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying you'll continue after death. But this idea, this shows what I just explained, that this idea that death leads to peacefulness, or like a relief, or an escape from life, from some other life being imposed, it's absurd. And apparently Jonny believes this. He I thought he would see past that, because his short that I shared in the last video, where he explained what Spinoza believed, I would have thought that would have showed him that nothingness isn't possible, but I'm wrong. So yeah, there is no peace, because somebody could be euthanized, and that it might be bad, and so that particular life will end, but their death could, because another life will follow that life, as I explained, their death could be followed by a worse life, a worse situation or scenario. They might be dying of cancer, and they have a terrible migraine, and or whatever it is, and then they die by assisted sue. I don't want to say it on, but so that leads to something worse, like the experience of a zebra being torn to shreds by a crocodile somewhere. So that would be much worse. So there is no escape. There is no perpetual, unending lack of experience. And even in the end of the universe, if the heat death is real, and the universe never comes back again, or no other universes come back, and there is no multiverse theory, then that still wouldn't be peace. There would be no. We couldn't call that anything worth looking forward to. Anything, no goal is achieved, nothing is obtained, because you don't get to reflect on your own lack of existence. You don't get to say, have a sigh of relief, oh, it's finally over. No, you don't. It's incomprehensible, because there is no it to comprehend. There is no something it is like if the universe ceases to exist forever. We can't even wrap our heads around that. But whatever it is, it sure isn't going to be anything good or bad. It's just, it's so we can't say, you can't use that, or claim that as I can't wait till this happens. You can't. There's not going to be any peace. Because there's not going to be you to appreciate your own lack of existing. And so, this idea that, I guess he's pushing this idea that death leads to some kind of escape from suffering altogether. It's very popular in antinatalism. It's called Death and Nothingness, my book, and what atheists need to know about death. It's about 100 pages. It's on Amazon.com, Walmart.com, and Barnes & Noble, and probably other places. I haven't checked everywhere. Self-published. I just get so irritated whenever I see somebody say this sentiment of death will be followed by peace. Oh, also, yeah. As far as the end of the universe, there was, I forget his name. I think people just, he's a physicist, but he's pretty popular. They refer to him as Dr. O. I cannot remember his last name, but he was just on the Skeptic Magazine podcast with Michael Shermer. But he makes the point that if the universe came from nothing, whatever state that was, then if the universe returns to that state after it ends, then what exactly is there to stop it from happening again? I'm not saying the same universe repeating, but I'm saying that, and he makes this point that another universe could come to exist, and he I'll put it in the description, but it's a very thought provoking, and he's uh, on a cutting edge of his field. And so I'm just not convinced about the heat death being the end. The heat death can happen, but I don't think that that's going to be it. That's not the end for good. Uh, so, anyways, yeah, when we're working with infinity, we the universe is just endless. Anyways, thanks for watching.